Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Tyler. I want to thank all of those who participated in the last video by me asking those two questions pertaining to the doctrine of forgiveness. And out of all of the comments that I had looked at, I only had to delete but one comment. And the reason why is because this individual did not even closely listen to the latter part of my video, coming with the same gaslighting tactic that was not new up under the sun with me, and probably with a lot of you who already know that there's something wrong with the doctrine of forgiveness. And then this was the same individual that immediately resorted to Matthew 6 chapter the 12th through the 16th verse. And so I know that this is the one that they love to use, the king of all of their so-called proof texts, in order to play the game on what's being played on other people that has been done wrong. So I'm going to go on ahead and to talk about what I'm going to speak of. And this is going to be pertaining to toxic forgiveness. This is something that has been running rapid in our society today, all because of the doctrine of forgiveness that is in the religion of Christianity. And whenever that these people who love to follow this doctrine of forgiveness always like to put it down a person's throat who has been done wrong, that well, you have to forgive the individual who has done the wrongdoing or the transgression towards you. And then they want to use all of their other so-called sentences in order to guilt trip and to manipulate that person that you have to forgive. And then some of these people, which are Christians, they will go so far as to say out of order things out of context like this. Well, if you do not forgive, you are going to hell. Well, you are going to be punished by God. You are the one that is going to be some bitter old person or whatever. And I'm going to tell all of you that this is not even right at all. And the reason why they do this is simply because of following the doctrine of forgiveness in their religion, about what's been beaten up inside of their heads, believing what has been told upon them rather than studying and researching the scripture and using critical thinking and using a critical eye to catch what is inside of there. But I'm going to tell all of you that there, in most cases, you will have extremely self-centered people. And then these are the self-centered people who love to follow the doctrine of forgiveness. They tend to use that as a weapon against you. And what am I saying by this? What I'm saying by this is that they will turn around and manipulate and to guilt trip you. And then they will sit there and tell you that, well, you have to forgive me or whatever. And this is the same self-centered individual who has did the wrongdoing or the transgression towards you in order to guilt trip you into forgiving them. And then after guilt tripping to forgive them, then these a lot of them are the same ones who will go back and to do the same transgression or probably even worse towards you. And then these same self-centered people are not just trying to get away with it with you, they're getting away with it with other people. And this is what we call toxic forgiveness in the scenario of what I gave before. And they love and enjoy doing this. And you know the reason why is simply because in their mind, they're simply saying, just as long as I can get away with it, just as long as I can get by with manipulating that particular individual to forgive me, I can treat this particular individual like crap. I can teach this particular individual like nothing. I can treat this particular individual like dirt. All I want to. All I want to. And that's their whole purpose is for control. Just as long as you don't figure out that they're playing a game against you, just as long as you don't figure out they're manipulating tactics towards you, then they're going to continue to run the same game towards you over and over and over again. And it's just like that a lot of these pastors, that they know they are wrong for doing this. They know that they are wrong for doing this. And these are the same ones that will sit there, and you was the person that didn't even do the wrongdoing. You was the person that didn't even do the transgression. You was the one that didn't even sin against no one. You was the one that was extremely innocent. And then these so-called brainwashed pastors who love to follow the doctrine of forgiveness will try and to guilt trip you and to forgive that particular, to not only forgive that particular individual, they'll go so far out of order to sit there and say you need to apologize, and you want the one that did the transgression or anything towards that particular person. How low down is that? And this is what is toxic forgiveness, people. This is toxic forgiveness. And I'm going to tell all of you something. If you do not understand the game, and you do not understand the scam of what's being played towards the doctrine of forgiveness, these Christians, these self-centered people, and then these so-called pastors are going to continue to run you and to deceive you and to guilt trip you and to run this same old game towards you over and over and over and over again until you put a stop to it. Till you put a stop to it. And how do you put a stop to it? Is the one that you are the status of the one that's been done wrong or whatever, is that you start rebuking. You start rebuking. But I'm going to tell all of you something, that they don't want this to be exposed for what it is. They don't want it to be exposed that it is, because they want to continue to exploit, they want to continue to run the game towards you so that you will not put a stop to it. And the whole agenda in the doctrine of forgiveness, like I have said in past times, is to give a pass to the transgressor so that he or she can get away with the wrongdoing of what is being done towards you, or probably anybody else out there. That's the whole agenda and the objective. And then I'm going to sit here and I am going to say something to all of you, that whenever that they try and to guilt trip towards you or whatever, you ain't got to give no attention to that BS or whatever. You ain't got to give no attention to that BS or whatever. And I'm going to tell all of you that the other objective to the doctrine of forgiveness is not only to give the transgressor a pass, but so that the other agenda is that so that whenever that they have done wrong, they ain't got to take no accountability. They ain't got to take no responsibility for their wrongdoing or whatever. They ain't got to do none of those things. That's the whole agenda in the doctrine of forgiveness in the religion of Christianity. How they twist, warp, and distort the Bible on what it says about forgiveness. And just like I've said in past times before, they love to go run to Matthew 6 chapter the 12th through the 16th verse. That's their king of so-called proof text. And then the second one that they love to go run to, and that is Ephesians 4th chapter the 31st through the 32nd verse. The next one that they love to go run to, Colossians 3 and 13. The next one that they love to go run to, Mark 11 chapter the 24th through the 26th verse. And then there's a new one that I am going to give you that they love to go run to, Luke 11 chapter, the 1st through the 4th verse. They always love to use these tactics rather than reading it with a critical eye and use critical thinking, and just love to manipulate and make others feel guilty or whatever. And they're taking all of these particular scriptures way out of context, way out of context. And I'm just going to say to all of you, for those who know that there's something wrong with the doctrine of forgiveness, get your pen and your piece of paper, because you fist to get ready to learn some new things tonight, if you ain't heard me speak on this before. And so that you can have it for your own investigation and for your own research, so that you can do your own study. Because my objective is, for those who know there's something wrong with the doctrine of forgiveness, is to go investigate this and to use critical thinking and to use a critical eye. You already know that there's something wrong with the doctrine of forgiveness, but what the problem is, the people who are following the doctrine of forgiveness and following that agenda, they do not want you to go research and use critical thinking and to use a critical eye what is in the Bible that is about this. They don't want you to do that, because you know the reason why is simply because the gig will be up, and you know that the transgressors wouldn't like that. And you know the reasons why, because that's going to teach them to learn how to take accountability, because taking accountability is painful. Taking accountability for the wrongdoing is painful. But if you know how to take accountability and been taking accountability, being real as a person, it'll just get easier and easier and easier as time go by. Whenever that you learn how to take accountability for yourself. Now, let me go on ahead and give this one, because this one is their third so-called proof text that they love to go run to, and they love to gaslight and manipulate people or whatever, so that they can guilt trip people. Well, you have to forgive that person that has done you wrong or whatever. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm just to get ready to tear this up. And before I get into this, I want to say this to all of those who are following the doctrine of forgiveness in the religion of Christianity. This is not for you. This is not for you. You already chose to be brainwashed in that religion. Don't be dumb. Cut the video off immediately and stop listening to what I got to say, because the only thing that you're going to do is get real angry and get real upset. Stop the video and go to a video that is convenient for you, that is following the doctrine of forgiveness, because I am here to expose it for what it is. Now, I want to begin with Mark 11 chapter, the 24th through the 26th verse. Now, the Messiah had gave the regulation whenever that it was concerning to prayer. And when you look in the 24th, when you look at the beginning of the 21st, fourth verse, it says that when ye stand praying, forgive. And then it says, if ye have aught against any. Now, when you look at the word ought, in the Christian world, by their doctrine of forgiveness, has simply told you that it's talking about resentment, bitterness, hatred, and then you're extremely angry against someone, and probably they'll even use grudges in that scenario too, and to tell all of you this lie or whatever. And I'm here to tell you, when you go look behind that word all, it is not what the Christian world that has been following the doctrine of forgiveness has been told to you for what it is. Now, when you look upon that word all and look behind the English word of it, and you will look into the Greek, is the Greek word for it is tis 5100. And then when you look upon it, it says this, it says some object, person, or and then kind of. And then that's what the English word about the word ought is. And then when you put that word in and look upon that word, it is talking about you have some, you have objects, you have person against any. And overall, what I'm saying is that you're setting others against other people. That's what it's talking about. Ye is you. Ye is you, which can be singular or it can be plural. But Now, this is considered a transgression. And I want to tell all of you, they have been telling you in the religion of Christianity that this is on the status on the person who has been done wrong. No, it's not. They're lying to you. This is on the status of the transgressor. And a lot of you going to ask the question, how do you know that this is on the status of the transgressor? And it's just like in the last video that I mentioned about this particular scripture, by exposing the doctrine of forgiveness in the so-called proof text. I just gave you half of it. Now I'm giving you all of it. Now it goes further and it says this. It says, if ye forgive their trespasses, the Father will forgive you your trespasses. Did anybody catch what I was saying there? It says your trespasses. So it was pertaining to you as the transgressor. And then it confirms it saying your trespasses. And this is a noun pertaining to the status of the transgressor. This didn't have nothing to do with, and I'm making it clear, nothing to do with the status of the person who was done wrong. Who was done wrong. So Messiah was given this overall regulation on the status of the transgressor whenever that he or she, or maybe more, that is in prayer, that has done this particular wrongdoing, putting other people against others. I done gave you a whole mouthful there. Gave you a whole mouthful. And I'm going to say this. Based on what I gave you, and when you go research this, you can easily, if you're using a critical eye, and if you're using critical thinking, you can easily figure out what's going on in Matthew 6 chapter the 12th through the 16th verse, and Luke 11 chapter and the 4th verse. You can easily figure them out just like that. And they don't want you to figure this out, folks, who know that there's something wrong with the doctrine of forgiveness. But I'm just giving it to you. And so you can look at those other two so-called proof texts of what they have mentioned and look at it with a critical eye and read very close, because you know that the Christian world that is brainwashed in the doctrine of forgiveness, they're not going to do that.